now, broadcasting from the jungles of Southeast Asia, it is time for the Ed Namrock Podcast.
Happy stay-at-home shutdown day. I think this is day 4. I don't know if all this shit started Friday. But thanks again for tuning in. Some of you tune in live. Some of you watch the replay the next day. Some of you don't give a fuck. I don't either. I do this for fun. Enjoy it or don't. Make up your mind. And the reason I say that is because I was very inspired by today's video that I saw on Instagram by the great Dave Chappelle. And what Dave Chappelle basically did is something that a lot of people in the industry are afraid to do and say. And that goes without saying. That's just a level of transparency that a lot of really big celebrities and influencers cannot exploit, for the simple fact that they're tied either contractually, they're tied, I don't know, a lot of people call it selling your soul. A lot of people call it joining the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. But bottom line is he went against the grain with this video. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's on his Instagram page. And just to summarize exactly what was it that he riffed about was let me just explain it. So a long time ago, when he was a 28-year-old expectant father, broke, didn't really have much say, didn't really have much, I'm not going to say going for him because he's a stand-up comedian, but didn't really have any aspirations to do something fanatical like what just happened with the Chappelle show. And the Chappelle show was pretty much, it's a cult classic of a show. Like he has a huge following for it. And he signed the contract with those circumstances, granted, because he was just pretty much desperate. He needed money. And I'm almost positive he did not know what he was signing, just like all these other poor suckers, I hate to call them that sign either music contracts that are 360 deals, or in Dave Chappelle's case, they signed this huge industry contract with a series that pretty much has language that you don't really know or are not really familiar with, and you pretty much sign your entire life and your rights away. And that's a big, I want to call it shark etiquette in the industry, because that's been going on since I was an aspiring rock star. And I saw a 360 deal on the table. And luckily for me, I was really familiar with the verbiage because I had read a book, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business. And while everyone got their, they were blowing their wad a little too quick on that, I was already known for knowing these kind of ordeals. And I'm sure Dave knew a little bit, but he did not know exactly what he was signing. And in times like that, when you're desperate, and I know the feeling, they take advantage of you, and it's a really, really fine honed scam of an art form. I hate to call it an art form because it is, because that's how they make their money, is they basically, you agree to their terms, and there goes your entire rights. There goes your masters. There goes your even some of your royalties. Like, that's part of the 360 deals, where all these companies that are offering you, I'll give you an example of the music industry, a 360 deal. It's low risk for a company. So they sign you a 360 deal because they get revenue on everything, including nowadays, it's including your live performances, including your streaming revenue, including your merchandise, because they're like, oh shit, we're not making money off the streams anymore. let's get a piece of the pie, everything else that they're making. And that's exactly what's happening with everything now, from music to series to shows. And Dave Chappelle didn't know. He signed the contract, man. And he probably didn't even know what the hell he was signing. He just wanted to get some type of pay. And guess what? He did not even get paid after signing the $50 million deal for, I think it was a season 4 or 5. I don't remember. And that's when he bailed and went to Africa, and Comedy Central never paid him a cent. So what wound up happening is CBS Viacom just recently licensed the motherfucking series that has his name all over it without even asking permission. Why? Because it's in the contract. And that's what's fucked up. That's the moral of the story, is like, was it right? No, it was not. But then again, we're living in this has been a business, and I'll get into this topic further on in this episode, where a lot of shit is really raising eyebrows. It's really questionable. And it's hard to even get inspired by this stuff anymore, simply because it's not very attractive anymore for some people. And I say that because once people begin to get really educated on the matter, then that's when they're like, okay, well, this is not cool. The standard of ethics is just really low now. Now it's kind of like the stock market is, buy low, sell high. And that's exactly how they're treating artists, is acquire them for the cheapest amount possible and exploit the fuck out of them and maximize your profit, your ROI, your return on investment, which, if your investment is really little, but you get a lot of fucking money back, that's kind of a Shark Tank type of thing. But anyway, my guest tonight on the podcast is a very dear friend of mine. I've known him for approximately, I believe it's 7 years. And it's interesting because there's a little bit of context with him here, and I'll explain exactly how is it that we know each other and the path that he took and where he is now, and everything in between, because I know him to be an MC more than I know him to be a business owner and an MC. But nonetheless, let me bring him on. His name is Skooba. What's up, man?
What's that?
By the way, I love the backdrop. Let me just give a shout out to Sound Olympus. In it's LA, East LA Commerce, whatever. Just inquire within. I'm going to put the actual banner up right now, so people can actually. Well, first and foremost, I'll shout you out on Instagram if you want some followers. It's IG is Hey Skooba. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And then I believe the IG is Sound Olympus, all one word, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Olympus. Okay. Well, is that where you guys got the inspiration from?
That's why we have the whole Greek theme of shit. Yeah.
Nice. But be sure you follow, inquire directly. This is a very privatized business, I understand, and I don't blame them. Because shout out to the homie Chooks too. Miss you. I know you couldn't make it out today, but we'll catch up with you another time. And the reason I promote small businesses like them is because that was me too at one point. And I want people to understand, and I'm sure Skooba here can elaborate on this, is nothing is free now. You have to understand nothing is free. And let me elaborate on that. So much. I'll give you an example. If you come to Skooba, you come to Sound Olympus, and you want 3 to 4 songs track, it's your mixtape, it's your rock band, your whatever, you need to pay money for it. Mm-hmm. Why do you need to pay money for it? Because the rent doesn't pay itself, or the lease. The equipment doesn't pay itself or gets rebated back. the electricity bill, the internet bill, whatever you want to stress, is the only way a small business survives is by charging prices. That's why, Sound Olympus has packages that you can take advantage of. But then again, Skooba, I mean, elaborate on this. How many times have you done a custom deal for someone that was willing to come in and block out maybe like 3 or 4 days for recording? And you're like, well, normally it's this much, but I can make you an exception only because 1 day is going to be short, or there's going to be some other alternate business deal. Tell me, how many times have you done that? You've done that a lot.
Yeah, of course. Because like my whole thing is like, I'm gonna basically go and how can I say, like, I'd rather lose a couple dollars to gain like a lifetime customer than try and cash this dude off the top. And he's gonna be like, you know what, this will charge me a grip, and it was all cool, but this other homie down the block is charging a little less. So if I go and compete on that type of field, because at the same time it's a service I'm providing, I'm not the only one. So this is like Los Angeles, so it's like shit. You have to be like, and like a constant, like I guess like a constant evolving of everything. That's why specifically with like sounds and plugins and like shit that people are using, like we're definitely on top of that. And it costs fucking money because I still get crack shit when I can, but for certain stuff when I can't pay for it, I'm just like, nah, you know what? Let me just buy it legitly because I know.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. What's up, Gerald? ¿Qué onda? So no, and let me just kind of expand, add to that, because it's no fucking secret, Skooba. We were all guilty of getting cracked plugins, only because a lot of us, and this is almost 99% true. We got them because we're like, okay, I don't have that kind of money right now. Let me see if I like it, and if it works, then I'll buy the whole entire shit. And like 99% of the time, you're forced to make a decision like, hey, this shit really works. Like, for example, do you remember the isotope ozone cracks we used to distribute back in my old employer?
Oh, yeah.
How many of us actually bought all of the isotope ozone suites? I say a lot of us did when we were able to afford it.
Yeah.
But for the meantime,
once those like grants came in, everybody kind of cashed out a little bit. But like, see, for me, I cashed out more like on the studio shit. Like, I'm gonna get something to like better myself. I ain't gonna lie, I probably spent like a couple $100 on some weed, things of that nature. but for the majority was like, nah, priorities. What do I need? Put some shit in the bank, but also get a lot of dope shit. Because now everything we have is like, bro, like it's like fuck. Because I had my shit in my garage, like before this spot, and it was just like I was grinding there for a long time. So many people, close friends, all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
And, like, now that I'm here, it's kind of more of just like a business aspect. So like going back all the way and just like looking back, I guess, just to like being that guy who wants to get 4 days but don't have that much work. And
absolutely
just looking for some love. Like, of course, I'm gonna go and donate myself to that guy. So I guess the fact of me being an artist from the get-go kind of put me in a position to know how to be an engineer at the same time. I'd interact with you.
Let me give people a little bit of context as to how I met you. And at this point, the cat's out of the bag. It's very transparent. I'm free to talk about it because it was not only a personal experience for me, because I also went to school there. Yeah. But I then became part of that administration in the Alhambra campus. And what I'm talking about is I was not only an alumnus of Pinnacle College, audio engineer school in Alhambra, but I was also the director of career services there for probably almost 3 years. And I believe you were already enrolled, Skooba, in school when I started. And then you left and then came back because I saw a lot of people do that. And I never really asked you guys, what was up with that? Like, people would leave for a bit and then come in the next semester. Was it the financing? Was it the scheduling? Tell me your experience with that, because I was at the old program. You came into the newer program and receiving associates for it.
Yeah. So like off the top, I guess with the whole thing itself, it was just kind of just like, man, like for the beginning, it was like, okay, a bunch of this paperwork stuff, all this shit we got to start doing and learning. And just like breaking down all the basics. And then I think it was maybe I don't know if it was term 2, if that's when we got in the studio, or I forgot how it went and shit. But even in the
Might
beginning,
have been 20 because I came around 2014 as an employee, but you were already there before that.
No. We were
No?
there. Our first spot was March 10th, 2014.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's a
March
little, you were fairly new, and I got hired on in May, so you guys were like the freshest class that I got to meet.
Oh, that's right,
And
because you were a student in that sense.
yeah, well, here's the thing. I went through that 9-month audio engineering program, and I finished in 2012. And then fast forward 2 years later, I was at another audio engineering school, and then I quit on the spot as soon as they offered me the job. And I went back home, man. I'm like, hey, I'm going back to Pinnacle. I'm going to work for them and see what I can do to help. But here's the scoop, and I'm going to tell you, Skooba, because now the cat's out of the bag. When I got hired, they told me straight up, hey, you got about 2 years here. And I'm like, excuse me? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you guys hired me because like the business is going to close in 2 years. They said, give it about maybe maximum 3 years. And I chose to stay. I could have easily said, no, I'm not taking this job. But that's one thing I never really told anyone is I chose to stay and help everyone out as much as I could. Unbeknownst to anyone that didn't even suspect. None of the students suspected. I remember you me telling you about that, like, hey, this ship is sinking. You got to get in here and get as much studio time as you possibly can before the boat sinks, man. So yeah, I remember back then your class was fairly small.
Yeah.
And
No. Big at first. At first, big.
Yeah.
And we even conjoined at one point with another class. We were like freaking the biggest class that there was there at one point.
Because there was a lot of drops in the classroom.
I forgot. It was all kinds of chaos, bro. Like, honestly, like in the beginning, it was dope as fuck, but it's kind of a trip because, like, you kind of knew some shit was up always, especially when new faces just kept coming and going and going. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, you start questioning stuff and all that. But luckily, like you said, you were telling us from the get-go to, like, get the heads up. And me and fucking Larry, he's not here right now, but we were already on the whole shit of, like, Craigslist, offer, let go. Like, who needs a like, intern? Like, anything to get paid for this shit. We're just like, shit, you know, if we're going to learn anything, we got to get right in the mix. Like, get thrown right into it. Like, what are you going to do in this situation?
What's up, Denise? Look at Denise, bro. Dude, that went from 30 to 10 quick. What's up? That's the homegirl Denise, man. Also another Pinnacle College grad. What's up, Anthony? What's up, my man? Yeah, so tell me, okay, actually, props to you and Chooks, Larry, man, because you guys were the very few that actually took my advice. You know that? Props to both of you, because I said, hey, man, I remember using so many analogies to kind of get you guys to understand. And the best one I always use is like, hey, this is your boxing gym to train. I'm not going to get you fights, bro. You got to go get your smokers, bro. That's how you do it. And props to both of you. You guys did it. And I'm sure you guys learned hard. And then before you know it, I see you with a bunch of gear. You made a tutorial on how to develop your own reverbs. Remember that? And you had like a quirky little like voiceover with it. That was awesome. I still have that video.
That shit right there took me into a different dimension, literally, bro. Like, I have some shit to this day that, even though it's not Halloween no more, it'll.
Yeah. And then that's how we. I remember one. I'll reminisce a little bit about those times. We had my old coworker Edwin, also known as Mesta. He had an impulse response session late at night on the campus, and we went through the entire Alhambra campus. It was crazy. It was a little bit spooky. I remember you went down to, like, it looked like what was it? Like a vent, a heater. I don't know what you did, but
that's some crazy shit there.
Yeah,
I remember
some.
You even got scratched.
Yes, that was trippy. I don't know how that happened. And then we found a piece of paper with a log dating back to like 1986 or something like that. No, 1976. And then we saw some blood spatter on the carpet. We heard some crazy stuff. The lights are flickering in and out. And I was like, okay, at one point, someone's going to scream. And, you know, Skooba's over here rolling on the, was it the H8, I think, or Zoom? H6, yeah. And I'm going, holy shit, like he's going to capture something that's pretty much going to be usable, and then later on down the line is just going to mysteriously disappear. So that's the kind of that's the mentality I have, bro. But nonetheless, man, okay, so I met you when you were already, I guess, aspiring to be an artist. And then just like everyone else, whether a musician, an MC, whatever the case may be, you came in to actually learn the science of audio, which a lot of people do not do, especially if they're artist driven. So let me ask you this question, Skooba. What was it initially that made you that one defining moment that you were like, you know, fuck this, I gotta go learn how to do this shit because this is ridiculous? When was that?
I was having a kid.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, look, I gotta get the real world on some grown man shit. And you know, I can still make this bread doing that because, you know, I got homies who do all the construction and unions and all this, making fat pockets, you know. But at the same time, it's not something I was looking for. I wasn't looking for like a freaking like just something to rely on. Like I knew I had like some talent and shit. So for me, I was all like, me and my other homie, we were just kind of sick of always going to fucking you know, studios and you know, I guess just paying in a sense, and them not like hearing what I heard in my head. Because like as you said, we're an artist, so we'll hear our voices turn away, we'll hear effects in our head, and like trying to like translate and not knowing the like terminology to communicate will fuck you up, and you'll be like, you know, and you'll kind of get what you want. So at the time, I felt like shit. I either learn this shit, go full throttle, or just like I said, just get with the real world. So eventually, that's why I ended up at Pinnacle. You know how I ended up actually? I think I was as I was going through this little like point, I think it was like K-Day or some shit. They just put it on. Had the fucking commercial.
Oh yeah, they had the radio ad. That's right. They had it on Power 106 too, I think.
I think I heard it on K-Day, but yeah, it's probably
K-Day had it as well. Yeah, I remember that. Whoa.
I heard that. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Wow. So it was a radio ad that pretty much kind of closed you on the deal. That's crazy, man. I had no idea.
I'm like here watching the Hateful Eight and shit. Ain't that a bitch? That's crazy.
Dan, that's. Well, here's the thing. I mean, props to you, man. I've known you to be a really good MC since I've known you, and just recently, well, like 2 months ago, you released a single. And I heard it on Instagram, and very different from what you've done in the past, I must say. But I really, really like it. Only because I can hear your evolution with your mixes, and I can tell you just got a bunch of new toys that you just decided to go ham on this mix. And props to you, man, because there's a lot of people, believe it or not, man, that just completely gave up on this stuff. And right now it's needed more than ever because of all the remote work that's going on. And I don't know what your experience has been with that, but as I shared with you before, I got into video editing, 2.5 years ago? And I've done 3 feature films, and at the same time doing the audio on them, which is pulling double duty. And you know how stressful that can be, but you know, I wasn't complaining because the pay was there. But shit, man, it's been tough. You know, shout out to Chris Castañeda. What's up, bro? Yeah, thank you, man. Once again, shout out to Que Padre Clothing Company on Instagram. I'll tag them at the end. But by the way, Skooba, it's kind of a dad-centric podcast that they have. They just debuted today, and you can totally relate, man, because you're a father as well. And it's very centric amongst like Latinos and Chicanos, just kind of like you and I. Because it's funny because Skooba, you're one of those dudes that I met, and I'm like, you're Mexican as fuck. I'm like, but he doesn't speak Spanish. I'm like, don't worry, man, no problem. But at the same time, it's like I always tell my homies, I'm like, hey, dude, just look in the mirror, and people judge you by the cover, man. But you got to be more elaborate and be, rise above all that adversity that gets thrown our way all the time. And it sucks because it still goes on to this day, man. I'm sure if you grow a beard or you get a trim, you still get looks, man. And I remember Larry telling me about that too. He used the word, I think you were there too. Larry used the word injunction for the first time in front of me. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I'm like, what do you mean injunction? He goes, oh, Ed, let me tell you. And I'm like, he explained he explained to me what an injunction was in Anaheim. And I was like, what? That's when the fucking district attorney of the city sues the local gangs. And they create injunctions to keep them. They're basically small little concentration camps, dude, at your own home. I mean, I don't want to call them that, but it's like it's house arrest. That's basically what it is.
It's honestly so much to even talk about that shit. And that's why even this year, like one of the polls that I voted for was like to give like people out of jail and shit, like basically the like right to like vote again. Yeah. Because I'm like, you'd be surprised how many people come out and are like way smarter than the fucking average cookie out here. And Absolutely. So like we kind of it's like I don't know, man. I have my own opinion on it.
What's interesting, you should mention that because I've known guys that have done like 10 to 15 year terms and they come out with a bachelor's degree. And one guy even came out with a doctrine only because they wanted to express that level of intelligence, that something they could never do, they could never accomplish, and they did it in the most confined space in the world, man. It's like you can't deny someone with knowledge of that, regardless of the record. I know that's a blemish, that's fucked up. But if they had good behavior for that long, and they got an education, how is that not plausible, man? That's something that I don't understand. So,
I mean, if you actually look at the numbers though and see like how much money they actually make off of each dude and shit like that, like it's kind of a trip. Like what is it? It's like let's just say like $10,000 for a child, right? And then it's like maybe say 50,000, little less for like each prisoner.
I think it's more now because of the whole pandemic situation. That's prices have gone up, and that's something that I've been just talking about lately, and I'll ask you about it too, man. I mean, I signed an NDA for this documentary that I just edited, but in the documentary, it's just a synopsis of what's going on in the world during that heat of the moment time. But I'll ask you this, man. You guys have been in business for about what, a little over a year now?
Going on 2 years.
2 years. So tell me, compare and contrast year one to now. Like and I know it's night and day, but what is it that you started noticing, and what changes did you make?
You have to adapt to every situation. When someone comes in, they'll always want some different shit. They like one artist might like that whole auto-tune, trappy ass feel, type of vibe. Some other the hip hop, some soul, some jazz, and this and that. So I guess it's like you have to be very diverse. So you can't just be listening to one genre. And I've always been that way. Right. Like I grew up with all the fucking music, like from all kinds of different artists and genres and everything. I heard everything. So and that's kind of the blessing I got from my mom. Like she bumped everything from fucking Cypress Hill to Prince. So if you have that type of like understanding of sound and music from you, like for like me now, like when I make beats, like I can't play shit right here, but like I have some crazy ass shit. Like to the beats I'm making now, it's not even hip hop no more. It just sounds like I'm making more like a music composition and shit, like a
music soundtrack.
Like, like for film type shit, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll still add the like hip hop element in a sense, but mixed with something else. But it's like, I don't know, I guess for like me, like shit just keeps on changing every time. Like hear the sound of music now. Yeah. Like straight up. Like I still
here's the other thing too is a lot of young aspiring producers. I mean, I know they call themselves beat makers, but the real term is, music producer, because that's what you're doing. They don't realize that a really big reward for your hard work and your artistry is if you land a song on a film, for example, especially if it's a big budget film. There's just more, the audience is a little bit more extensive, because I know as well as I do, when you took that post-production class, that film audiences are just a little bit different than your average, music lover, music guru. But if you can cater to that, like you say, if you're diverse, if you can cater to that particular demographic, then you got all your angles covered. So
yeah, exactly.
But what else have you been noticing that you had to change and adapt with the shit going on right now?
I got to clean a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of these fools are some dirty ass grimy motherfuckers, but they're cool as fuck. Don't get me wrong.
You, bro.
These will just walk in, lean the fuck out, just on some bullshit. But they're cool peeps and shit. Don't get me wrong, but just like you don't know where this fool's been. Shit, it's like pants down to the knees type flow, but it's cool though.
Yeah.
But
are you rolling?
Huh?
Are you rolling?
Oh yeah. My bad. Yeah, that's why I've been distracted.
No, I mean I recognize the sound. I'm just like, what kind of leaf are you using?
Oh yeah, I'm not breaking up no coke. That is
No, I've always known you to be an advocate of medicinal use of marijuana too. So, and look at now, man. We were talking about that for what 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
And then look at now. It's like, wow, dude. It was such a relief for me. But then again, I'm like, oh man, the market's gonna get saturated, and then you're going to see Marlboro come up, and we haven't seen that yet, which is great. I know these big tobacco companies, I actually bought stock in a lot of cannabis and CBD companies, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm glad that, and all my cop friends too, man, they're like, dude, weed, really? I mean, they're looking for the jackpots, man, like fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamine, like that shit. Then that's why, like, I don't know if you've seen, but Oregon, the state of Oregon decriminalized all drugs. And I was telling,
see, like, where the fuck is it?
Oh, you lost it, man. You lost it.
Oh, here it is. I was trying to get my wick. It's a healthy way of smoking, people.
Oh, so explain that. What is that? I see that a lot. What is that? A hemp string?
It's a hemp wig. So basically, it's like
a hemp wig. Okay.
It's more or less wick, like John Wick.
A hemp wick, like John Wick. Okay, got it.
Short call it a wick, but it just okay. So the butane. I'll give you just an example from my experience from smoking a bowl. Right, if you just light the weed like this and smoke it, the butane will sometimes give you a fucking headache or a different like taste to it, and you can actually taste it, right?
Oh, okay.
And when you smoke with this right here, with the wick, and then you light it, you don't get none of that butane taste, and you kind of taste more of the weed.
Oh, interesting.
Clean your pipes and shit, Don't be
absolutely. I know people that don't
but
clean them at all, or don't clear the bong water, for example. But that's interesting. That's interesting because a lot of people don't know that. I still see people with the Zippos or the torches, especially when they're hitting dabs. I'm just like, oh man, that's so crazy. Ooh. And
I went down that path like a year and a half ago, and it just got bad. I stopped after because you start getting into like breathing problems.
Yeah,
because like there's levels to the black shit.
Yeah.
So there's some shit called like what was it called? Like diamonds, I believe it was called. It's basically like the actual little. It's like smoking four blunts in one hit, and it's like, man, you don't need to.
That's too much, man. I mean, how much is too much, man? And I know it's just like any other consumption, right? It's like alcohol. Like if you take, 4 shots, 5 shots in a row, and then you chug a beer, that's a little excessive, But, it should be like anything else, man. It's still, but I must say, I mean, with with cannabis, man, it's even the recreational use. I've always been really pro, as long as it's responsible. You know, you don't get all fucked up and you can't function, which I've never known you to be that way, which is awesome. And you know, props to that whole class, even the classes after you guys. Yeah, it was a very stony environment that we were in, and a lot of shit got done, man. A lot of shit got done.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
we're making fucking music. I'm not going to be all sober and like, oh, the science and compressor. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, just put on some dope ass shit. Play the beat. Let's see how to mix some shit. See where they fuck up. They always play too much rock shit. No disrespect. Rock music.
no, not at all. None taken, man. But
like,
it should have been more.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Like when fucking Mesta showed up, even with his little term there and the ending and shit, he like kind of gave us more dope projects to work on.
Yeah.
Than what fucking year and like 2 months.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that I know for a fact we were kind of lacking in that staff, because a lot of them were going to Icon Collective.
Yeah,
and,
I heard
and you know, because we were known as just a traditional recording school, and we try to expand to music production, and the video game sound design side of it was kind of that. It was in that realm, but not the same. Like, I'm like, hey man, we need to actually have a curriculum for people who want to make hip hop beats, trap beats. I remember at one point it was dubstep that was pretty big. It still kind of is. I mean, it still has its following, and then just pop music. You know, I never really seen anyone just create pop unless it was someone that you brought out from the outside to record them into the studio. But nonetheless, I mean, true. I seen you guys get shit done all the fucking time, and especially when it came to I know when you were going to school, you weren't rhyming as much, were you?
No, like honestly, I was still transitioning from that period from like, you know, kind of just being a dumbass to trying to get my shit right. So it's like within that little time, that's why you said, remember I was gone for like a month. I would just fucking off, just shit that I shouldn't be doing. And you know, it's lessons learned. Shit happens, and you know, that's all. You just got to move forward. So once I kind of like get back into it, I'm like, you stupid ass, you're fucking paying for this shit. You're doing it. You signed the contract already. So at that point, once I got back and shit, everything was just kind of like cool again. And it was like, okay, I see how everything's going. But it's funny how you said that whole thing about like, you know, the school ending like that quick, man. That shit's really throwing me off. It's just like shit. Because I remember that they all got us like, oh, even after you graduate, use our studio for a whole year. I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That gives me time to get more on my feet. From that point, I had to record cats in my garage. Nothing was wrong with that. Like, it was 100% cool, and you know, everybody vibed out. It was still dope, but it just kind of just like, yeah, man, like, come on. From like working on SSL to like just being on like your little Apollo inside a cool garage.
Well, that Studio A really sold itself, and I actually pitched an idea to the administration, but I think at this point, I understand the financing was kind of going downhill with that school. And check this out, man. I had pitched an idea. I'm like, why don't you have block schedules that don't interfere for the alumni that wish to come and record and do projects? And block, you know as well as I do, man, you're a business owner. Block scheduling is very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I don't know why they were saying, I don't know why they were saying they were promising apparently people unlimited access after graduation, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna say that, you need to elaborate exactly what unlimited access entails, but they didn't. And you know what the problem was? Is supposedly they got it on paper, but I looked, I'm like, no, you guys didn't get anything on paper. You guys need to talk to these people and see what's going on, because a lot of it was hearsay, you know. But nonetheless, I'm like, dude, like, at least try to, you know, kiss up to the administration, see if you can get in there. And a lot of you guys did eventually. But you in particular, I told you, I'm like, don't write on this school. And I didn't want to tell you straight up like, hey, we're gonna go out of business.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a little bit discouraging. But I'm like, no, go get your feet wet. I saw potential in you and Larry. And I was like, dude, don't waste your time so much here. Go out there and build your own rapport. And fast forward, now look where you guys are, man. And props to you guys.
Oh, yeah,
and that's something that, dude, not a lot of people had achieved. They weren't even like, I'll be honest with you, Skooba, no one even had the balls to apply or make a cold call or even an email to a studio just to inquire about an internship while going to school.
It just like fucking for us, it was just naturally just like fucking us like hustle. You just have to get some shit.
Yeah.
That's why even when we were at school, fucking me and Larry started working at the same time at that warehouse that was right across. So as soon as we were out of school, we walked our ass right across the street, parked our cars, and we were working at a fucking modern slavery right there. That shit was from fucking like 3 o'clock to like 10 at night. And that was just like some bullshit. So
it was like right down the street, huh?
Literally, bro. Like we're at the end of that, at the end of the little foundation on the other side. So at that point, you know, I don't know, man. There's just so many fucking stories at that spot. It's kind of just like a trip how like you said earlier, not too many people really followed or even went through and shit. And I think like for me, it's like shit. You got to get that shit or you don't. Even right now, I'm not trying to say like I'm on some fucking high horse. Like the fuck, I just have this studio right here. Like, I'm just like any other person. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like no like shit. Like it was all complicated to get. It was literally because I just like figured out how to do it. Literally, that's it. You could fucking Google it and then just do it. It's not hard. Like,
and props to you because we really didn't teach you guys that in school.
I didn't.
And then I mean, not to say that there should be a curriculum to teach you that, but it's really on the person to want to go out and get it. And for those that didn't want it, they obviously showed it. And then for people who had quite the contrary feeling, that's, you know, you can't indoctrinate people into a certain way of thinking. You can't brainwash them into just one method of your way, which is interesting. We'll shift gears a little bit about brainwashing.
I know.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: have you seen this show?
No, I just saw the post and like I
haven't either, but I mean, look, just a disclaimer to people watching or listening, whatever the case may be. I am not transphobic, and neither is Skooba. I am not homophobic, neither is Skooba. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I am born and raised in LA, in the most diverse city in probably almost all the world. I mean, it's probably second to New York. I like to say second to New York because it's LA. But I draw the line in certain things. And Skooba and we're parents, we're fathers. And you lost something again, Skooba. What is going on?
My bad.
You're dropping lighters. You're dropping hemp wicks.
It's so tiny. It just goes.
But nonetheless, all right. Let me just ask you this question, Skooba. Okay. What is your definition of brainwashing? And tell me, where does it start?
From the start.
Okay, from the very get-go, from a human comprehending everything.
Because think about it, as soon as a child's born, the first thing, let's just say the hospital, the ride home, then once it gets to the house, goes to sleep, wakes up the next day, it's in the house from that day forward, wherever it's being raised at, wherever it's house. So if you guys are like fucking just fighting and arguing, doing blah, 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 from day one, that shit's just a sponge that soaks subconsciously. And then as it starts to grow around like 2 to 3 to 4, it just starts like developing more. That's why I know it's with my own kids. That's why I can speak. I'm not just like saying this shit.
Same here.
From seeing them grow, I could understand. It's like, oh yeah, it's like the environment you surround themselves with is gonna depend, I guess, like on how much control you have over yourself. For instance, like arguments will always like happen, but self-control is the key because you have to remember there's a child right here. save that shit for later on. You know what I'm saying? Wait till they
Right.
go outside, like, you know, some shit.
Oh yeah, I'm guilty of that. So
Yeah, so
because I
I
try to stop myself in its tracks.
yeah, don't do shit in front of your child, like
Yeah.
at all fucking times. But
Well,
like,
I mean,
how you were saying with that
those are the
video,
trials and tribulation of parenting too, man. I mean, I know no parent is perfect. But here, this is where I draw the line personally, where, okay, let me just say this before I play this clip and show people.
Mhm.
It's mandated as a parent to understand your child. And what do I mean by this? It's mandated. It's mandated. Like, who set the rule? It's consider it an unwritten rule in the magical invisible book of Ed, whatever. You are mandated, in my opinion, to always look after the safety of your child, not only physically, but emotionally and psychologically. Now, depending on your definition of certain things, and I'm going to use, for example, a Muslim extremist, for example. You know, not saying, because not all Muslims are bad, they're not, but a Muslim extremist, a terrorist, basically. Their perspective is not to build something like you and I, like to grow. Their perspective is to destroy, because that's going to help them grow. You know what I'm saying? And which brings me to this video clip. Now, this is subjective. Everyone knows this is subjective. I'm open to any debates, any arguments, but you, the viewer, you, the listener, you do yourself a favor and translate it for yourself. Don't let me influence you, because I'm going to play it first and then discuss it with Skooba, and then we'll see what people have to say about it. So, you ready for this, man?
Yeah.
All right, here goes. This is from the show on HBO called Transhood. So check this out.
Today we choose to recognize, honor, love, and celebrate anyone here who has claimed their identity publicly as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, pansexual, asexual, or any category that I've left out.
Which I have no problem with, but why is a child...
You're a little shy. Do you want to tell everyone if you're a boy or a girl?
I just want to tell them that I'm a girl.
Okay, you can tell them that. Okay. Phoenix would like you to know that she's a girl and she prefers she and her pronouns. May you be well, safe, and whole. We honor you exactly as you are.
It's like a revolt, right, or some shit?
If this was a bunch of, like, you know, middle-aged teenagers, like 15, 16, 17, might be acceptable for me. You know, if this was full-grown adults, totally fucking fine. When that child is my son's age,
Yeah.
I have a problem with it. Because you are gaslighting your child. You know what gaslighting is, man? Gaslighting is basically manipulating a person that's completely gullible into believing that what you're telling them is true.
From the start.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of abusive relationships, for example, like, oh, you're the crazy one, but I'm the one beating the shit out of you. Like that type of stuff. Like, you deserve it, and this is why. That's gaslighting. You know who else is a master of gaslighting? Donald Trump. The master. And he's a genius at it, man. And that's why, you know, for a guy that didn't even know, he was like, oh shit, I won the election. Got through it in 4 years, man. Believe it or not. But Anthony says, do these kids even know what that means? No, they do not. And if they do, they have their own interpretation from that parent.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on that, Skooba? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like people can't have like opinion nowadays if it has anything to do with having something to say against that shit. Because then we get looked on or frowned upon and shit. And it's kind of like
canceled.
Yeah, bro. So it's kind of like a trip because I remember like it's kind of funny. I remember in the beginning you were talking about that Dave Chappelle shit, but just like him, he made fun of everybody, right? Everybody laughed
totally.
And everybody just laughed about it. Everybody was cool about it. And it's like over the past year and a half or like 2 years, like shit's just gone crazier. But it's like everywhere. It like people are so focused on America. There's shit happening around the world that'll blow your fucking mind if you really just like look at this. But you can't even look at it because like even with Google and all these other websites, all that shit's censored. So you can't really even get like accurate news in a sense. More like filter news. Like they only give you like so much and shit. And yeah, like fucking
well, they're called search bubbles, and it's all algorithm driven, and it's all relevant to tailored ads and everything else that goes on in your internet browser nowadays from your desktop to your phone. And here's the thing that bothers me about that. And to me, growing up Catholic, to me that's a form of indoctrination. And for a lot of people who are raised Catholic, you later grow up to realize that, hey, masturbation is not the guilt that you should be feeling. For example, like if you have sex before getting married, that there's no guilt behind that either. This is kind of the same thing to me. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for a child to grow up with a trans woman, trans man. No, I'm not. But there is a psychological and maturity level that they need to reach before they even have a thought of this stuff. And why do you think that, for example, there was a show on Netflix called Cuties that I heard about. I didn't even watch it. I watched the trailer. I was like, oh, no, this can't be right. And yeah, it's crazy to me. Here we go. Here's John Regalado. How do you know this kid hasn't been talking about it for a long time? If he's talking about it, what does it matter? Why would you want to enforce it on your child? And even at that, if they're talking about it, just acknowledge it. But why would you have to indoctrinate the child into that? It's the same thing with Catholicism, man. It's the same thing with Christianity. Same thing with Muslim extremists. How do you create a terrorist? It's easy. Yeah. It's easy. But nonetheless, man, I have nothing against the LGBTQ community. Hell no. I have something against manipulating children into thoughts that are not even theirs, even if they're fucking talking about it.
Yeah. Man. I don't know. Like, that's why now, like, shit just gonna go on no matter what, and it's gonna change. When you get older and the younger generation begin to grow, and those opinions are gonna eventually be the leaders of this world one day. And so all this shit happening now, they're gonna see it as normal. 50 years from now, mask is going to be the in thing. They might have some crazy, wicked ass, sick fucking mask or some shit. Who knows? They'll like keep these things like going. So for me myself, I'm just like, man, I'm right now in 2020. I just got to stay in the present, do what I'm doing now, enjoy my life, and just like be happy and shit. Even though things around me are just like changing so rapidly, and it's kind of a trip because like now that I'm getting older and my taste of music is kind of like not really too big on the like new like shit out right now. But I understand it, like the same shit when you have older people who didn't like the shit from the 70s. The 70s didn't like the shit from the 90s, So everybody, as times change, realize like shit, what they were so used to growing up eventually just like goes like dust in the wind, you know what I mean? Like real talk.
Yeah.
So for now,
back then too, man, there was also manipulation of young children and coercion, which to this day still goes on, man. And I see it all the time. When and I thank social media for that. because social media has officially given it's a gateway to a lot of exposure to different things that sometimes, quite frankly, man, people are not emotionally mature to see it. Like I remember one incident in particular when I was working at my old employer last year. 18-year-old kid, really new into LA, and was from a different state. It was a culture shock for him because the school we were at was right across the street from the biggest LGBTQ housing center in probably the world. Because where I worked, it was on Santa Monica and Las Palmas, which you're familiar with. And my favorite club of all time that pretty much just recently got demolished and is not there anymore was the Arena, where DJ Irene used to play right across the street. I had no problem with that, but for people like that, they're just, oh shit, like what's going on here? So you have to explain as a native of Los Angeles, what is it that they're seeing? And, you kind of have to jump some of those hurdles for them. Like, hey, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. But then there's a serious issue in that area when, a guy that's at the bus stop taking a shit and then fucking the crackhead lady right next to him. Then that's another thing you got to explain. Like, hey, we do have a fucking homeless problem, man. It's and I have to elaborate, but I see what John says. This is the least strangest thing I've seen. And I have a kid who's homeschooled. The world moved to the beat of the same drum. That made no sense, but the world moves, you mean, to the beat of the same drum. Are you drunk again? Your fat fingers are typing too fast, man. Slow down. That's my homie right there. He said that's the least strangest thing he's seen. I've seen a lot of crazy shit, like working there at that particular campus. And my boss, who is married, female, has a partner, also used to look at me and be like, oh shit, I don't know what that is. And it's not, no judgment. I mean, dude, there's a little bit of prejudice in all of us. It's normal. But the racist thing and the homophobic, xenophobia, whatever you want to call it, that's a whole different level of hatred. And I don't hate these people. Hate is a very strong word, Skooba. It's a huge, just like love, it's just as equally as powerful, if not stronger sometimes, because there's a lot of energy that projects from hate. But when you're disturbed by something, that's not hatred, that's concern. And it's not like I'm going to go to that family that we just saw in the video and say, hey, fuck that, what you're doing is wrong. I have no business telling the parent what the fuck to do. I have an opinion of it, but I'm not going to tell you how to raise your child.
You can't. That's why the best you do, just raise your shit right. Like whatever it is you do, just do it right. There's always consequences to doing, shit wrong, period. So
yeah, and it's quite simple, man. I mean, just don't kill people. Be a decent person. You don't have to be a saint.
I mean, I say they deserve it, but it depends.
Yeah, I mean, you just be a good. I don't even want to call it a good model citizen, because I don't even know what the fuck that is anymore. But just don't be a dick, don't be an asshole. And quite frankly, dude, there's a lot of them, man. There's a ton. I mean, these past 4 years, for example, maybe even longer, I've seen assholes come by the dozen, man. And all because of opposing views. And I don't know how that happened, but it caused me to get defensive. And of course, my buddy here, John, as well, we get really defensive with shit like that. But in the same token, Skooba, I mean, I still have an opinion about certain things and concerns, but I don't lash out at people that don't necessarily deserve it. If that's how they want to live, that's fine, but doesn't stop me from having a fucking opinion, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's, it's apples and oranges, bro. I mean, I can't eat oranges because they break out in hives. So I choose apples. All right, cool. But you can eat oranges. That's totally fine. They're both fruits. No pun intended. But yeah, I mean, here's the other question of parenting too is, and you share your experience with me. At what point in any of your children's lives, right, that they say something that was mildly absurd, kind of out of left field, and you didn't immediately say no, like you didn't stop it in its tracks or try to deny it or anything. You had to kind of explain and elaborate in a very diplomatic way about it. And do you have any examples of that? Like, for example, the private part thing, you know, with boys and girls. That's something I had to elaborate with my son, and I had to do it the bare minimum, man. Because when you're raising I have a boy, so I have to raise him to, especially when it comes to hygiene. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to raise them to not be a fucking dirtbag, basically. And there's certain spots that you gotta, especially when you take a bath, you gotta make sure you clean them, man. You know, you don't want to come out smelling like a fucking dirty asshole, you know?
Yeah, no, like with my kids, all of them are pretty on point, honestly. Like since day one, I treat them already like they're older. I don't want to be like, oh, goo goo gaga, like bullshit like that. Because for me, I'm all like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of mediocre. Like that's a fresh brain. Right away, you start saying something absolutely like smart to it, using big words, talking to it like a grown up. It'll adapt so fast. Just like if you had like seen all my kids, the way they talk and everything, even my little girl, she's like 3 right now. She'll be like talking, and she's already like perfectly on point with all the words she uses with every little sentence and all that. I'm like, damn, like that's a trip. But I'm realizing like, okay, it's from me actually like teaching them all the time from the get. Like, hey, here's what's up. Here's what you do. Here's what not to do. Like my kids already know what weed is. They already know what cigarettes are, know what like all these little things are already. Because you don't want to have them all like stupid, like, and then they go to school. Oh, what's this? Let me smoke some fucking, you know what I mean? You need to have them, hey, this is this. You stay away from shit like this. Like once they get more older, they're like, hey, this is coke, this is meth, this is heroin, this is that, LSD, this is whatever it is. Yeah, they're on point, so they're never like in the situation and just get like stupid, bro, and they're not slips or bullshit. Because like I have to think about like this. One day they're going to be older. I'm not going to have no control. There'll be people of their own with their own opinions, and I have to make sure I could just show them from the get, like, hey, here's the real world that we live. Because like everybody has their own way and shit. That's cool. For like my kids, I show them off the top, bro. Like, hey, here this is. Come here, pops. Sit down. Look, because they've seen a lot of shit already, and it's all. And some of it wasn't even my fault. It's shit that happens, and you just have to like deal with it. So it's like, hey, okay. Now that they've kind of get an idea of how the world works and how everything is, though, it's a trip because at home they'll be acting like little assholes. Sometimes they'll be really cool, but it's always the kids, you know, they're all bipolar. But when they go out, bro, if they go to your house, spend the night anywhere, they'll be proper, polite, put their dishes away. They like know what to do and shit. But I guess for like my perspective of it, it's like, hey, if my kids are kind of, you know, just at home going a little crazy and all that, I say, you know what, this is their comfort zone. This is where they feel safe, where they can let loose and don't have to have their guard up. And when they go into the real world, they know, hey, you need to be on point. You don't know what could happen out here. They don't know how to talk to strangers, like none of that shit. They don't play none of that shit, bro, like off the top. So it's like, that's why if you look at one of my posts I made earlier about all the kids missing and shit like that, that's some real shit, bro.
No, it's something that, quite frankly, I mean, I agree with you. It's not spotlighted at all.
Maybe I didn't say shit. I mean, having kids, I'm like, hey, you know, see, I don't know where all these kids end up missing. I'm pretty sure it happens everywhere, but it's like, hey.
Well, it's no secret where they go. I mean, if you've been following kind of a timeline on how the cartels work, for example, you know exactly where these children go, and unfortunately. No, I mean, it's no secret either because it's been documented in documentaries. There's been declassified information on the internet. Yeah. The reason no one talks about it is because it's a very, very scary topic, and it's a big network of, you know, actual human trafficking mobs that are doing this stuff. And which reminds me of that movie with Fergie's husband. I don't know if it's current husband or ex-husband, Josh Duhamel. It was a movie called Turistas. Do you remember that one?
It's called what?
Turistas. and it's tourists. I think it's Portuguese for tourists. It's also Spanish as well. So it's when they travel to Brazil, and they're grown people actually, and they get swindled into going to, I think it's like kind of like not like an outhouse, but like a little shack in the jungle. And there's a head mobster that basically explains why he collects fresh organs off of people, and he tells the person while they're drugged up and slicing them open to get their liver and their kidneys why you guys disappear. And that's really, I mean, children are not exempt, man. I mean, you get some rich people that need a liver transplant now. That's exactly that's the dark web that they go through. That's the black market, man.
That's the market that buys it, basically. The elderly or people in need of these types of organs and shit. Like, these, I don't know, man. That shit just sounds like fucking wicked as fuck right there. Because it's like
it's wicked, but it's real, man. Just like drug trafficking is still.
I mean, that's the normal.
Rampant.
As far as more of the human trafficking, I don't remember that shit as crazy as it was like back then. Over, like you said, like what was it, like maybe 2012? I should probably say that's when you've seen that shit,
Yeah, Anthony said we made my oldest watch the movie Taken with Liam Neeson before she started going out with friends. I have girls, bro. I let my wife handle the hygiene stuff. I agree, man, because once a normal man with a normal functioning man, I guess you could say, with full grown up girls, you have no intention of even going there with them. It's like, no way. That's why, like, I don't know how this fool can comment. I'm talking about Donald Trump. How he can comment about having sex with his daughter, man. That was disturbing to me. I mean, that's another opinion I have about this guy, because I had bone to pick with this guy a long time ago, dude, since WrestleMania 5. But I mean, it just so happens he became the president of the United States, which is another topic. But
that's
it's crazy. But at the same time, it's like, was he talking about child trafficking? No, man, he wasn't. Like it really, that's how it's such a big, dangerous network, because not even the top executives are exploiting this for what it is. And everyone understands why, because
it's a trip. That whole Epstein shit, I never even heard of until everybody heard of it, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, that's some shit right there. Like, okay, how do you explain that? And like, even now, you're not getting no coverage. It's not getting as much coverage as it first was. I mean, it's still probably there because people are obviously monitoring it. Like, I know my homie John here. He said, I'm like, oh, how quick people forget about what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell, his right-hand woman. And he's like, no, well, here's what's going on. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, this needs to be shared. This needs to be a big thing, but it's not, man. I mean, I get it. I know how mainstream media works because I worked and freelance for a company for a while. I get it. I mean, every single, whether you think it's independent news or whatever, I'm seeking out the truth by going to this website. Dude, everything's funded by a big fucking provocateur, a conservatorship, whatever, man. There's a lot of money backing it. But fuck, man, it's like, yeah, when you're a billionaire, you feel like you can do and say whatever you want. Yeah, man, that's a trip, dude, because I don't know, man. Like, for example, right now, obviously we have a new president-elect with Joe Biden. Everyone thinks, okay, new president, everything's going to get fixed overnight. No, that's not the case, man. There's still a lot of work to be done because, a lot of work didn't get done, while he was there. He was too busy,
passing new policies and filling the Supreme Court with, with 200 plus judges, obviously not the Supreme Court itself, but the actual federal bench, which is crazy because it's, again, dude, it's chess. It's not checkers. You tee it up and then, okay, cool. Here's my move. Next move is on your end. But what do you think, man? I mean, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen from here on out in the next 4 or 5 years?
Shit, I'll tell you this much: you ain't getting me no fucking vaccine. Real talk.
Really,
like,
you're not going to take it?
I don't know what the fuck. You ain't getting me that shit. I don't know.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I'll let you know what happens.
I'll take it. And it's not like it's no like conspiracy or anything like that. It's like I've never taken no shot before for any type of fucking reason, bro. Like
Right.
I don't know, like look, I ain't knocking nobody. Shit happens all the time, but it's like I don't know. I ain't taking no mandatory anything.
You're not really? You're not?
Oh, you're not gonna.
What if it's like I don't know, some type of supplement or something, not a vaccine, but something that's gonna keep you like keep the symptoms down at a minute level. I don't know. I don't even know. Wait. Well, John's got an update here. Today's update. Let's see. Jailers interrupt Ghislaine Maxwell's sleep every 15 minutes to check if she's still breathing, lawyer says. Oh, shit. Nobody said mandatory yet for vaccines, so I mean, if it's not mandatory, I mean, why would it be mandatory, though? Would it be for children?
I think with the events, they're going to specifically start having some type of like proof of some shit.
Wow.
Like proof of a vaccine if you want to be right here. I don't know. Like
What?
Other countries already did. I think it was like what, Turkey or Poland. There's some fucking posts I was looking at.
I think not Turkey. It was one of those Eastern European cities that they did it, but I don't know. I haven't tracked any of that or even analyzed the effectiveness of it. But I mean, but here's the thing, dude. Like, how if we go back in time too, like the measles, the mumps, rubella, all that stuff, HPV. You how long did those take to actually work is what we have to kind of go back and analyze. And I'm sure it wasn't overnight, dude. Like, this Operation Warp Speed that's going on. But Anthony said, I finally took the flu vaccine on Monday and I'm for sure going to take the COVID vaccine. I've been getting the flu shot, dude, for the past 3 years because I got the flu really bad in 2013. And I haven't been sick since, to be honest. I haven't been ill with the flu since then, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just my testimonial. But kids need vaccines for school. Absolutely true. Or you can homeschool them, which is now an option because everyone started doing it.
Yeah.
It's if, I mean, obviously this distance learning thing, if you got good at it, it can be an option. And, you can also hire a tutor and go from there. And it's like, okay, well, it's that's something that needs to be, again, it's subjective. You're going to kind of weigh out your options and see what is that you're going to do. John says we're way more advanced than we were, but humans make mistakes. Absolutely. Which gets me to think, Skooba, like, that chances are this vaccine can be that effective. But then again, it's a vaccine. It doesn't prevent you from getting it. Just like wearing a mask doesn't guarantee you won't catch it, but at least it slows the spread from, the droplets in your mouth or whatnot. And Anthony said, I was wrong. Kaiser's offering the nasal mist. Yep. But that's a live virus. The nurse said, so I passed on that one. Oh, why?
Damn.
So there's an actual shot, and then there's a nasal mist with the live virus for the flu shot.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. John said, I'm not drunk, asshole. Why not? It's Tuesday, motherfucker. But no, the other, and we're going on an hour and 15 minutes. I'll ask you this last question and we'll kind of end with this one. What are your thoughts on the mental state right now of people, right? While this whole pandemic, this whole uncertainty of what's going to happen next year or even the next couple of days. I don't know. What are your thoughts on how people should be handling this as much as they can sanely handle it? Because I know a lot of people are desperately, they're reaching for some type of relief with what's going on. There's a lot of anxiety, and I know the mainstream media does not help it, and neither does social media.
Like everywhere you go, like you can see it. That's why, like, if you think about it, like, look at all the past little fucking like from the riots all the way down just to the Lakers and the Dodgers, and like everybody just ready to go out and just fucking go ape shit right now. Like, look at 4th of July. We went ham on 4th of July. Like, we absolutely destroyed it. Just like, man. So I guess it's just one of those things. It's like, man, people are just like caged up in a sense. I mean, at the same time though, we've been good these past couple months. I've been moving. I mean, look, nothing's changed for me at all. This whole shit has not changed. Not a damn thing gets like no cops are tripping on you about no damn fucking curfews or any lockdown shit. Like from day one, no one was tripping around here. So it's all like, I don't know. I feel like it's just more shit to get people just a little bit more like tensed up and all that. Especially when you like get copped all into that shit. So like,
look, John said, I'll take the vaccine that Bill Gates takes. Here's the funny part.
Yeah, basically.
Bill Gates ain't gonna take no vaccine. But is he? Like Dr. Fauci said the same thing.
Did you see the thing with that? With what was it with all the governors? Like, what was it, Newsom, and then like what is it, the fucking mayor of Chicago? Like everybody just like all out with their mask off and shit, just like not following shit. So now the cities are outraged. Yeah. Even in Huntington Beach, was it like last night? They were all like not rioting, but protesting out there about the whole like curfew and shit. And even the sheriffs are just like, man, I ain't about to fucking like press no issues. And even a lot of cops out here, they ain't about to take a no vaccine either and shit. So when you have like actual like officers saying it, like no one's gonna press you to do this shit. So it's like, well, how are they gonna go and do it? Take away certain things you can't do. Go inside a bar, maybe watch a movie, go to a sporting event. Like some type of crazy shit. I don't know. But
here's the other thing too, Skooba. It's like if you really narrow down the clusters that, obviously there's data on this stuff. A lot of this stuff doesn't come from dining out. It doesn't come from, actually, exercising. It's a lot of it is just the actual internal gatherings. Like, I'll share a story with you, man. My wife and my family, immediate family, we got together on Halloween and my wife contracted COVID, dude. And all we did was we were doing pumpkin carving for the kids. And out of the party that was there, 8 people got infected, man. I don't know if it was the same gathering that they were infected at, but people contracted it. I tested negative, and I had to keep away from my wife for 2 weeks, man. It sucked. It really sucked. And she has not fully got her sense of taste and smell back, and it's been a little over 18 days.
No taste and no smell?
No, man. So if you contract it, kiss whatever favorite food you like goodbye for maybe a month if you're that lucky. And it's that's how most people are gonna learn. They need to catch it first. Well, here's the thing. We were doing everything by the book till that very day, and I don't know how it happened. That's the problem. But riddle me this, Skooba. Are we gonna cancel fucking pumpkin carving for the kids? Think about that for a second. Would you cancel it?
I didn't even see no pumpkin patches in our neighborhood, honestly. So.
No, I mean, we have, our household's not even that big. It didn't. It's not even that big, but it just took that small amount of people. They're saying limit gatherings to what, 15 people? We had way under that. Yeah. And it's like, whether you follow the rules or not, that does not exempt you. And what are you going to do? Just stay in your fucking house all day and not get any sun? Not get any fucking air?
Basically.
If that's what they want you to do, then fuck, man.
Because even
why couldn't you carve pumpkins with your own kids? That's exactly what we did, John. But
that's what I was telling you. the whole shit in the sky's been clear for what, like the past, since like March, you'd say? It's been like stupid freaking clear.
Yeah, that's crazy because you know me, I was big on the chemtrails thing for a while, and now I'm just like, wait a minute.
They're coming back.
My tinfoil hat comes back on. I'm just like, that's a little suspicious, but
it just makes you wonder exactly what it is and all that. Because there's no.
It does. I mean, obviously, there's already science proving that exactly what it is, but at the same time, I mean, if you want to be a conspirator about it, I mean, you don't even know what the fuck's going on in general, and what do you just leave it up to imagination at this point, and you just whatever you find, of course, that's on the internet and social media, that's again subjective. And you interpret whatever information you get and you come to your own conclusion. So, and let's see, how was it a gathering if it was your own kids? I'm lost. He's just having, he's in Hawaii in paradise, so I can't explain. So how was it a gathering if it was your own kids? I only have one child and he has cousins and those cousins are tight. So, you know, we do everything together every Easter, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving. Nothing changed. We did the same thing we did last year. And for some reason, some people got sick, man. I don't know how it happened. I mean, obviously I didn't, you know, my mother-in-law didn't, my son didn't. Don't know how it happened, man. Don't know. We kept distant. We even wore our masks, you know, at one point. You know, we were drinking. I don't know if that happened. It could have been anything, man. Who knows? We had people deliver stuff to our house from Instacart and all that. Who knows, man? Who knows?
It's the 5G.
The 5G Trojan horse, man. But yeah. So I mean, I know a lot of anxiety is you know rampant now, man. But what do you got to say about people going through this shit? Like, is there any like one thing I know we haven't been really promoting, man, is of course the healthy lifestyles, you know, the conscious, you know, eating that you were talking about on social media, and you know, just you know, the promotion of okay, you can if you do contract this, you can beat this. You just got to do these certain things. And if you ask me, being a hermit and not getting out and getting exercise, dude, because that's what I've been on. I've been on my fitness tip just recently, man. I've been feeling great, man.
Yeah, same.
And I also changed the way I ate, and I've dropped 37 pounds, man.
Damn, like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Good shit. Yeah. And now
it's a choice.
I'm exercising every day, and I always take cold showers. Like even when it's cold or hot. Yeah. And like my theory is like kind of like I feel like if I'm always taking more cold showers, I won't get sick. Me personally, though, because that's how it's been. Like
cold showers.
I don't really take like warm showers like that, like at all. So like right now, I'll start off maybe like mildly warm, and then like as I start taking my shower, I'll just go all the way down to cold. And once you get out, like for me, it kind of raises my senses. I'm more on point. You know when you have those moments of like something drops and you catch it right away, like on some ninja type shit.
Yeah.
It keeps you on that type of focus. It's like your brain wakes the fuck up. That's why I was all like, okay, I kind of understand it now. Because even then when I exercise, by doing that, I understand why like other athletes will go and do the same shit when they're doing all their crazy ass routines. Ice bath and just like get their whole body just like cold and just like, and like, ow. Like for like me personally though, by not taking warm showers, it really gets me like fucking like on some Superman type shit. Like I just feel like up. Like that, bro. Yeah.
Interesting. What's interesting is a lot of performance experts call it a flow state. And I know a flow state very well because my coworker, who's a fully stacked developer, right, would reach a flow state when he was writing scripts of code for the school, for the program. And it was like he would use this term, get wired in. And I'm like, oh, wired in. Okay. So he explained to me exactly how the flow state works. And he turned me to binaural brainwaves on headphones while working. But at the same time, he's like, it can have quite the opposite effect. Is that if you don't have the right frequency going into your brain, then it'll cause you to slow down. That's why, at night before bed, I'll listen to delta waves before going to bed, and that kind of relaxes you down. But apparently he told me about a flow state for him was listening to gamma waves while writing. I've seen countless numbers of lines of script that quite frankly looks like hieroglyphics, man. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And that's how he did it.
All right, look, so when I'm probably living like every couple of days and shit, so it's like, all right, I'll have my like how you said, I'll go to sleep with what you listen. I literally have like my playlist right here on Spotify specifically, and it's all 432 hertz, but it's different types of frequencies within that. So all these are like healing ones right here, right?
Yeah.
Like in this, hold on if you can see this shit. Oh, no, it's that trap.
Oh, you gotta share that with me, man.
Yeah,
oh,
so it's
wow.
basically
okay.
Like, so like what I'll do sometimes is once everybody's asleep, I'll lay down in my bed. I'll take a fat hit of some DMT, and then I'll take about like 2 rips, like completely like fat as fuck, and then I'll try and make it to 3, but usually by 2 hits of the DMT, I'm pretty much solid, and then I'll just kick back, and then it just like by me hearing these things, you start going into this like altered state of like I guess like self-consciousness of like where you need to heal your like so
I've never done DMT.
It's pretty cool. It really lets you have an insight on yourself. I think that's the main thing of psychedelics, period. It's not about, oh, I'm tripping out, lights. No. It's really just about like looking at yourself, and you kind of see like, hey, I'm fucking up right here. I need to stop doing this shit. This is where I need to focus on. Start taking care of.
So it's a form of introspect that you reach when you're in that state. Oh, fuck. Okay. That's interesting. I don't get that with cannabis anymore.
Though weed is kind of like, it's kind of like just more of a relaxing type of deal for me. It's just kind of like when you like me,
inflammatory for me now.
Yeah, man. But that DMT shit is very freaking good. Like me and Larry, 5-MeO DMT not too long ago, and that's the strongest hallucinogenic in the world, like period. And that was like, whoa. But we were treated by a shaman and everything, so we performed that.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. But that's kind of getting like back to what you were like rewrapping to the kids and everything, and like what you teach them and shit. Like, I feel like, look, if you're fucked up within yourself, how are you going to give good energy and good things to other people? You need to get right with yourself.
I get it.
Like, really, like, so for me, that's kind of like what I focus on. Like, I treat myself so I can treat others right. That way I'm right in like that sense. And like, you keep the flow going. Because if I'm all fucked up and negative, no one's going to want to be around you.
Oh, absolutely. And I've had experiences like that with people that I personally know where you can just feel them, not to get too metaphysical with you here, but energy is a powerful thing, man, especially if you're in a flow state, whether it's a good flow state or a bad one, because that's how the criminal mind works too, is you reach a flow state where you're going to hurt someone and get what your energy is focused on, whether it's money, whether it's taking a life, whether it's raping somebody. Like, I understand the criminal mind and their flow state. Now you can do quite the contrary. You can flip the script and do it for good things. And that's why I'm saying, like, the flow state, John would mention, this year there is a global pandemic going around, and that's the flow state that I think right now, health experts and people who are developing the vaccine are adamant. That's what their focus goes. It's like, hey, okay, this is the problem. They've addressed it. They've analyzed it, and this is the solution. I mean, it could be the solution. It could not, Skooba. We don't know that. But one thing's for sure, a lot of people's energy and focus is like, okay, that's not what I need right now, because there's a lot of uncertainty, which I'm referring to the vaccine.
What, like Pritzker or some shit? That's the company developing it, right? Pritzker?
Pfizer.
Pfizer, yeah.
Pfizer.
Sounds like some freaking like
well, their logo is kind of weird because the F is the lowercase f. But it's Pfizer. There's another company. There's like maybe 4. I think Johnson and Johnson was developing one too. But who knows, man? I mean,
Pfizer. There we go.
it's obviously the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, yeah, it's a very small percentage of people who are it's the mortality rate, but you can't be insensitive to that, you know. But in the same token, that should just motivate not just the world, but the country to be a little bit more careful with things, man. I mean, I'm not saying stay your ass home all the fucking time. No, just be mindful of other people that might be like, dude, I'm not afraid of catching it or fighting it. I'm afraid of giving it to someone who can't. That's my big thing. And it's like, I think by design, that's how it is. And what I mean by design, I mean, it came from a laboratory, obviously, and it mutated. Yeah. I mean, that's by design doesn't necessarily man-made design. I mean, by design means just the biology behind it. And who knows, man? I mean, I'm no health expert. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. But I only hope that this gets solved, in the fastest way possible, because obviously it slipped through the cracks, man. Just like 9/11, it slipped through the cracks, and people died. So, but yeah, man. Well, we hit an hour and 30 minutes. That's pretty damn good. Damn. You look super lifted.
Always.
But hey, any before we go, anything you want to plug besides the business? Of course, go ahead and shout it out. Tell them how to get in contact with Sound Olympus. I'll put up the Instagram one more time. Tell us more about Sound Olympus and how to inquire within.
Simply just follow us, hit us up, and basically we get you in the studio, record, mix, anything you want to do, just come fuck with us. And then for mine, I don't even know how this whole thing works.
Well, I mean, for you, would you say that you're still doing the artist thing, or your main focus is just Sound Olympus right now?
No. Like this is a part of it all. Like it's all like one thing. Even with that whole bad sound thing, we still got going too. So for like this right here, it's like, hey, this is a studio. Like, don't get it twisted. We'll go and record you. But at the same time, man, this is a spot where I can come and record myself. I can go and kick it right here, make me a brew, bring over someone if I had to. You get the whole deal where I'm getting at. So this
absolutely.
is kind of the like whole spot where it's like my comfortability, my comfort zone, where I can come
that's how you know you're in LA. You hear the sirens in the background.
And you can hear it that good?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually I can hear it pretty much any background noise that goes on, especially in my house. But
so you've been hearing people eat the whole time, huh?
I was trying to figure out what movie was playing in the background the whole time.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, it's a good ass movie.
What movie is it?
The Hateful Eight.
Oh, don't tell me I have not watched it. I've not watched it. Don't tell me about it.
What, 3 years ago or some shit?
Yeah, I know the movie. I never watched it. I heard it's really good. Don't tell me, man. Don't spoil it for me because I heard it's a damn good movie.
I didn't like the Once Upon a Hollywood shit that he did. I didn't care for that one at all.
Oh, with Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio. I haven't seen that either. But I give movies a shot, man.
Yeah.
Let's see what to expect, and because I know a lot of people, especially my immediate circle, like, oh, it's dope, it's a dope ass movie, and then I watched it, I'm like, it was all right, it wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. Like it's usually the ones that don't get so much hype behind it that really out of nowhere like really impressed me. So,
hey, did you ever see that crazy ass clown movie called Terrifier?
No, but I've seen it. I've seen the trailer for it, and that looked pretty interesting.
How do you see where people are at? How they've been talking to you?
There's a comment section on the right. Yeah,
but it's private.
No, you should. When you click on comments, it's right there. Yeah, the whole time it was there, dude.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Watch Terrifier. That shit. That shit right
Terrifier.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a horrorcore in a sense. So there's a lot of blood and shit, but
okay.
it's creepy as shit. Like I wish I could pull some shit up. I don't know if I can do that on here.
Well, let's do a follow-up. Maybe we could talk about some crazy ass movies too. And then I know Anthony here says don't get me started on 9/11, which he knows a lot about. I know my homie John, he has quite the contrary argument to that. Maybe we could do a designated podcast for that because, to me, things were very inconclusive with 9/11, but the bottom line stands, 2 buildings fucking got destroyed and people died. There's no taking away from that. And, I know a lot of people wanted answers on how it happened, but there is an official story, but then again, there's that doubt that creeps into people. And, I don't blame them, but nonetheless, man, I mean, all you can do, like I said, is speculate. And, again, it's subjective. It's to each his own, however they interpret it. So
we should do a follow-up, and I want to have show you some actual footage of some shit that I've caught in the sky. I've been posting a lot about that ever since the shit started.
Yes. And you know what?
I have shit, man. Like, yeah. But I guess I can share a screen.
But the thing is we'll set that up. And because also, I'm into the unidentified flying object stuff too. So maybe we can share each other's footage and then see where it goes from there. Hopefully people tune in. So
this is a trip. It's dope.
But
my first time doing
something. Yeah, and thanks for being on, man. Want to thank everyone else for tuning in. On that note, thank you again, Skooba, for being on. You guys be sure to follow once again Sound Olympus on Instagram. You can follow me on IG as well. And on that note, I'm going to say good night, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.